Welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. I'm Jill, and thank you for joining me today. This week I'm participating in the Color Throwdown Challenge, and the colors are gray, ivory, and black. So I'm going to be using the Sweet Little Something from the Occasions catalog from Stampin' Up. And I'm using Smoky Slate, Basic Gray, and Black and on some very vanilla cardstock. I'm using my Misty stamp positioning tool because the bunny stamp that is absolutely so stinking adorable is a 3-layer stamp. And when you're doing layering stamps, you want to start with your most solid stamp in your lightest color. And my Misty allows me to stamp that image multiple times and get it in the exact right place. You can of course do this with your regular acrylic blocks as well. You'll just want to look straight through and down through the image so you can see it. You'll notice my second layer here is in basic gray, and it was a little too dark for the second layer. So what I'm going to do is stamp off on another piece of paper here and then stamp my second image. But I'm going to do this twice so I get good coverage for that image. You'll also notice that my stamp is a little stained as well. And staining on clear stamps is absolutely 100% normal. That just means that's a good quality stamp, and it also means that it's going to tank ink really well. You'll notice that I'm cleaning my stamps with this green cloth, and it's a Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. It's just really easy to clean your stamps off when you're using a stamp positioning tool, so you don't have to take them off and try to clean them or anything like that. You can also use baby wipes, or you can take the stamp off and put it on a clear acrylic block and use a scrubber and some stamp cleaner as well. So now that my bunny is all finished, I am going to use the oval stacks dies from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to be using my Sizzix Big Shot as well to cut these out. And when I first started designing this card in my head, I said, oh well, I'll just stack up the ovals on top of each other. And when I did this, however, I changed my mind, and we'll see that in just a second. While I'm die cutting this, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. This is my first voiceover for a video that I have ever done, and it's actually kind of cool to sit here and watch this video and do the voiceover, so I'm kind of thrilled about it. I am 40 years old. I have a boyfriend, Chip, and he is very supportive of my crafting and comes down to the craft room in the basement a whole lot and marvels at all the stuff and all the creations that I've made. So that is absolutely 100% awesome. And I also have a dog and 2 cats, Jessie, Nina, and Daisy. Nina is my oldest kitty cat, and she likes to come downstairs and sit in between my feet sometimes and reach up and say, Mom, pay attention to me. And my little fur ball, Jessie, is a Shih Tzu, and she's black with little white paws and little white spots on her every so often. And she is my little love bug. She's the one that sits with me in the evenings, and sometimes she'll sit in my lap while I'm crafting, and sometimes she pushes the stuff out of the way and says, pay attention to me, I don't want you crafting right now. So I have a craft room in my basement, and there's actually a video of my craft room on my YouTube channel. It changes periodically just because I'll get in an organizational mood and try to rearrange stuff. So if you have any questions about general crafting stuff, don't hesitate to ask. If you have any questions about videos, don't hesitate to ask. And be sure to like me on Instagram and Facebook. You can search Jill Cameron Creations and find my blog as well, and my YouTube channel. And let's go back to the card. So I stacked them all up and didn't like it, so I decided that I was going to do some die cut inlay. And I just went back and used smaller dies and cut frames so I could die cut inlay those. I use a Fiskar paper trimmer. It has the metal bar on it, so I know I'm getting a good straight edge there. And I'd also decided that my background on my card needed a little something. And on the Sweet Little Something stamp set, there's these 3 little flower images that are just teeny tiny. So I put those on an acrylic block and grabbed my slate, my Smoky Slate, ink and went to town on just making a background. I did more flowers on it than I needed to. I just wanted to make sure that everything that I needed was covered, and things, you know, flowers were maybe sticking out from behind the oval and that kind of thing, so it didn't look so forced. I used full sticky, oh, what are those things called? Now I've just completely lost it. Sticky notes. I have used Post-it notes, and they have the full sticky on the back of them. I use those to make masks too for different things if I'm doing a 1-layer card. Just stamp them on there, and then it has the sticky on the back, and you can reuse them a couple of times. And I tend to still put everything up as I'm crafting. It just makes my life easier as I'm doing this. And now I'm going to put everything on the card and lay it out just to make sure that I like how it looks. It gave the card a little extra something to just make sure that those things were layered in together instead of standing out. I also pulled out the bunch of banners framelits from the regular annual catalog from Stampin' Up. There's a bunch of different banners in it, but my favorite one is the flag banner, and it cuts out a frame but also cuts out the inside piece as well. And I'm going to use that in a moment to cut my sentiment out to put on the front of the card. And I'm just using some two-way glue here, liquid glue, to put the frames down. You can use a tape runner, however I thought that that would be just a tad bit messy because I would end up with tape runner everywhere. So I just used some liquid glue there. Any kind of liquid glue or even a tape runner will work here. You could probably also use some like Be Creative tape or something like that. And I just put all of those images down and folded the card there, and now I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my sentiment. And I did that on very vanilla cardstock with black ink. My black ink was dry for my Stampin' Up, so I just pulled out a different black ink pad and stamped that and left myself enough room to make sure that I could center up my sentiment in my die there and run that through my Big Shot machine. I use washi tape, just inexpensive washi tape, to hold my stuff down. I used to use the magnetic platform in my Big Shot, but I didn't like it because my little dies kept running all over the place. So I started using washi tape and just my regular platforms. And I'm going to pop this up on some foam tape. And this was actually part of a paper pumpkin, that this particular adhesive. Stampin' Up does sell this as well. Yeah, I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator. However, I also craft with all kinds of stamps, Lawn Fawn and MFT and just about any kind of stamp you can get your hands on. I make cards with. You'll see that over on my blog, my Instagram, my Facebook page, everything. I decided I wanted my bunny to stand out. You can't see it very well in the video at all, but the bunny is really, really shimmery and really, really pretty with the Wink of Stella all over it. My Wink of Stella is kind of drying out. I need to open a new one. So Stampin' Up also used to make these little enamel dots that were in all the colors of ink and paper and stuff, and I have a whole bunch of them still sitting beside me, so I figured I would go ahead and use those and get some of those used up. And I just put these, instead of like enamel drops or Nuvo drops or sequins or anything like that, I just use these in place of it. And you just slide them off and put them on there, and ta-da! You have a pretty card. And I want to thank everybody for joining me today on my first attempt, and there's the finished card. And please leave me some love and subscribe to my video channel and check me out on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a good one.